What's good, everyone? Today is December the 20th, 2023. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for yet another opportunity of prayer. We thank you, God, for the gift of life. Thank you, God, for the activity of our limbs, oh God. We just thank you, God, for one another, oh God. We thank you, God, most of all, for your love. We ask you, God, that you will bless this broadcast as well as our viewers and their families as well. I actually ask, God, that you will bless tonight's guests as well, oh God. Let us have a good and joyful show. In thy precious name we pray. Amen. What's good, everybody? How's everyone doing this evening? I want to say happy born day to everyone that's out there that celebrated over the past week. Um, there you go. Just wanted to make sure I could see you guys over here. What's good, Miss Shakira? How have you been? Been praying for you, girl. It's been a while. Just felt led to pray for you a couple weeks ago. Um, Again, I want to say happy born day to everybody that celebrated over the past week. Um, and two people in particular with heavily born days. On December 15th was Apostle Arturo Skinner's born day, as well as December 13th was my bishop, my father in the gospel, so to speak, um, born day, who we lost a couple years ago. And I was feeling the loss of him, particularly this week, I guess with his birthday approaching. Um, that's why I wanted to change my profile picture on Facebook as well. But I just really want to say, even though he's not here in the physical anymore, I just want to thank him um, for instilling the values that he's given me spiritually. Um, I'm a better man for it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. My spiritual upbringing, because the older I get, I so realize that so many people didn't have that, didn't have good sound examples. And then not that he's the only one. I'm sure there are others out there, but having different conversations of people that come up in church that didn't come up in church in different religions and what have you, I realized that it wasn't a lot of people that had that go-to or that godly example before them. You know, they knew some great preachers, but don't mean that they were living everything that they were preaching or everything that they knew to live. So I really thank God for the example that he set before us. I thank God to know him on a personal level and get to see him not only just in the pulpit, but how he conducted himself around his peers, around his members, around his family, and just all out funny and just being true to who he was at all times. There's nobody that could ever say that they seen him out of character. So, God willing, hopefully I can live up to that standard for myself. Always being me, unapologetically, um, come what may. I just don't want to be one way around certain people and another way. I just want to be me unconditionally. So I thank him for setting that example for me and showing me that it can actually be done. So I really want to take the time out to say happy heavenly born day to Bishop James H. Everett. And we miss you, but more importantly, we thank you for being the man that you are and the sacrifices that you made for each and every one of us as followers, as believers, and others. So happy heavenly born day to him as well. Shout out to everyone that's celebrating on the milestone. All right, is everybody ready for the holidays? We 3 days away, 4 days away from Christmas. Um, I was gonna sing a song, but I don't want to start singing, and then our guests show up. But my plan right now is to do a special show on Saturday for all the sports fellas, for all the sports, and even you ladies too. I'm not going to shun you ladies from being a part of that, but we're going to be doing a special sports edition, probably noon on Saturday. Um, and then we'll have the last show of the year next Tuesday, the day after Christmas. and I'm going to share some things that God gave me to share with you all as far as expectations um, for 2024, so to speak. Just some few things that He laid on my heart, and then we can have, we can have a discussion about those things and whatever else you guys want to talk to. But next Tuesday will be the last show of 2023. And again, I just want to take this time out while we're waiting on tonight's guest to say thank you to each and every one of you who has been taking this journey with me. It's hard to believe that we started this 3.5 years ago and we still here. You know what I mean? And I couldn't do it without you guys. I couldn't do it without the comments. I don't have the show that I want without the comments and the questions in the comment section. So I thank you guys for being faithful and tuning in and rocking with me and just taking this journey with me. Because without you all, I'm just somebody in front of a camera. But you guys make the conversation happen. You guys make this a reality. So I'm humbled and I really, truly, and genuinely appreciate each and every one of you who's ever been on the show, all my previous guests, all those that have sown into the show financially, those that have sown into it with their prayers, um, those that have offered helping hands on how to maneuver all of this because I'm so not tech savvy. So I just appreciate each and every one of you. Shakira, if you go look on the YouTube channel, if you haven't subscribed already, you need to subscribe too, girl. Uh, but your show is one of the most popular on the YouTube channel, other than a sports show, and I think there might be one other ones. But I think that your show has one of the most views on the YouTube channel. So go check that out. Tell all your people if they want to see you where they can see you at, and that's the Marvin Bennett Jr. show on YouTube as well. Um, Again, I'm looking for bigger and better things as we approach 2024, personally as well as for the show. Okay, cool. I appreciate you, girl. Um, like I said, I want to have more musical guests coming on this upcoming year. Last week we had my bro Michael George's Jr. on. So those that haven't got it already, please go out there, check his Facebook page out. It's the same thing on Instagram, Michael George's Jr. He has his Christmas single available. So please let's go, whatever musical platform that you use, please let's go download that and support him as well. And we're gonna have him back on the show again coming up pretty soon. But the single was rocking. He actually got to give us a little sneak peek of it last week. So I appreciate you, bro, for doing that for us. And just rocking out with your bro and feeling safe enough to come on and do that for us. So again, I just appreciate you. I appreciate each and every one of you that have been a part of this journey with me for the last 3.5 years. Again, I couldn't do any of this without you all. So hats off to you all, and I salute you all. I'm humbled by your grace and your presence. And with that being said, I want to welcome tonight's guest, the beautiful syndicated Hey 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 Miss Hey 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 real quick. For those that are not on TikTok, yeah, please go help me get my numbers up on TikTok now too, y'all. So I could grace her with my presence on her show because apparently they have an easy screening process for her show, and the name of her show is Hey, what's good, Rock? Rock said, Hey, Miss Cookies.
Hey,
Um, yeah, so if you're not on TikTok already, please go on TikTok and follow Ms. Cookies. That's MZCOOKEEZ, the number 2U. Um, and check her out. She does Grown Folks Boulevard on Tuesday nights from 7 Central, which is 8 o'clock Eastern, to about midnight, 1 o'clock. We just rocking there. Good music, great conversation. Just the whole vibe in itself. So again, I encourage everyone that once we wrap up our shows on Tuesday night to go over there with me, because that's exactly where I go ASAP. As soon as we wrap up on our show. But she's been gracious enough to bless us with her presence for, I think this is the third time now. So again, I want to thank her as well for taking out the time to do this. I love her vibe. I love her spirit. I love her energy. So without further ado, let me introduce you all to Mrs. Cookies. How are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah,
Third
right.
time is a charm, right?
There you go. There you go. So we're gonna get right into it tonight because she had some quality time to spend with a youngster once we wrap up the show. So again, I thank you for I understand how it is because you didn't even do your show last night because you were spending quality time with family and everything like this. So again, I just want to thank you for taking out the time to share a little bit of time with us on this evening. So I'm not gonna hold you all to it. We're gonna be talking about initially I had planned on doing a year in review for 2023, but I didn't really go back, and it's been a hectic weekend. Like I said, with the birthday of Bishop James H. Everett, my mind has been like kind of all over the place this last weekend, but we still here by the grace of God. So I'm appreciative of that. So I didn't really get to do the due diligence that I wanted to do for the show that I had in mind. So tonight we just going to talk about some of the things that we've personal growth that we've experienced in 2023, and where do we see ourselves going in 2024. We also going to get a little bit into intimacy and a special topic that Miss Cookies had on her TikTok platform where she does daily posts too. That's another reason you should guys go follow her. Some good information that she goes out there. Just have you do self reflections and have things that make you think about and things of that different there. One that would really kind of made me feel vulnerable, and I looked at it, and I think it was last Friday we were talking about what have you forgiven yourself for. And I think that that's a very, very um, good question. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, one of the things I try to explain to people about forgiveness in particular is that so many times we like, well, I can never forgive, I can never forgive. I mean, I can forgive, but I can't forget, and these different things like that. There, and I think sometimes when we have that mindset, we kind of limit ourselves of what my definition of true forgetfulness is. Um, and of course that comes from a spiritual background, you know what I mean, or my just a personal relationship with God myself. But when we think about it in terms of our heavenly Father, and I know that you're not really religious, but you're spiritual. um and one of the things that he tells us is, when he forgives us for our sins, he takes those sins and throw them in the sea of forgiveness for this, to remember them no more. So I understand from a natural standpoint, that we just can't magically forget certain things. But I do know that for firsthand that when we truly talk about true forgiveness and we really give it to God and let God help us work on our forgiveness, some of those things, even though you might remember them, you might not remember the sting that was associated with that pain of why you forgave someone. But one of the biggest things about forgiveness, first of all and foremost, is learning how to forgive yourself. I think that's a big, big part of it that so many of us overlook. We always worried about what the other person did or what the other parties involved have done to us and how it affected us. Well, we don't never do enough self-reflection and step back and look the situation from a neutral standpoint and say, okay, what was my contribution to the outcome of this here? And I'm gonna let you speak on that, Miss Cookie, because I think you said it beautifully. Like you didn't realize on one of your past posts, like you didn't realize that you were the villain in someone else's trauma. You know what I mean? And I think that that's important for us to realize, because we too close to a situation, just like a mirror. If you're too close to the mirror, you can't really see it, because sometimes you got to step back.
Yeah.
Self-reflection is the same exact way. So it's like, you might feel, and you might be entitled to feel that way that you feel, but guess what? There's an opposite side of that coin, and that person has feelings too. So how do you feel about that there? And what was the background for you doing that kind of post?
Well, as you know personally, I'm on my journey, and my personal self-work journey has a lot of discoveries about me, the good, the bad, the happy, the sad, the ugly, the truth, the disappointments, and the villain and the victim. And so what I come to realize is that the forgiveness is not for them, it's for me to release myself. I am not, you are not what has happened to you. And that we can empathize with the things that has happened to us, but healing is your responsibility in the now.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you really think about it, you're only associating a feeling with something that happened yesterday, 10 years ago, 5 years ago when you were a child. And so what I realized is that we have a lot of people, even myself at a particular time, still walking around with those traumas that happened 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And we've never went back to that time or space that we can heal from that and grow from that and forgive from that. And the forgiveness is not for the other person. The forgiveness is to set you free, to set yourself free from the idea and the thoughts that's connected to that particular situation. And I saw that the more that I forgave, not for the act, but the more that I released myself from saying, I am not what has happened to me, right? But I am who I am now. That trauma, that healing is a my responsibility as an adult in the present, in the right now. And there's power in that. There's power in, I may never forget, right? But I don't have to stay connected to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I'm choosing as an adult that has information now, this that therapy is available. I'm understanding now that's my responsibility to heal. Past traumas, we can't act like they'd never happened,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not bringing that into the future, in the present, or right now.
Yeah.
The trauma wasn't your fault, right? It's unfortunate that it happened, but we can't stay there. We have to move forward, and moving forward says I'm responsible for my healing.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you are responsible for your healing. And the more that you have that concept and saying, you know what, it's about my healing, you take away the power or the associations with the act itself.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not neglecting saying that it did not occur and that your feelings are not valid, right? That trauma was real. It happened, right? But now in the present, do I hold on to that and allow it to keep me stuck in the right now, where I can't even live in my right now because of that? Or do I make a decision and say, you know what, as of today, moving forward, the healing, that's my part. That's my responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking my power back
Yeah. I
so
like
that I
that.
can live in the right now.
Yeah, and like you said, that's something that we all have to work on. No, there's no such thing as perfection. You know what I mean? But it's a process,
Yep.
and that's one of the things that God that gave me 2 years ago, going into 2021 was, and this was a personal thing, which is why I really love my relationship with God, because it's like certain things that God has given me over the years. Like it was always a personal thing that I never like particularly shared with others, but then now I always see these different phrases. And like 20 going into from 2020 to 2021, he told me that this would be the year for me to trust the process. And now it's like everywhere I go, I'm hearing this all over the everything else. And I had never heard it before until he spoke it to me. And it was like, trust the process and trust the process. And he began to, and my prayer life really began to break down to me what the trust the process was. You know what I mean? I was freshly divorced. I was freshly in a whole different situation. My spiritually, mentally, physically, I was all over the place. And I'm like, I'm so unstable right now. How am I supposed to trust the process, but not realizing that I would get to be where I am today and that much better and that much stronger before everything, because of everything that I did endure and because I did trust the process. You know, an analogy like I like to use is almost like you take a diamond, right? A diamond is just a rock, but it has to go through that pressure. It has to go through its the proper seasoning to become that flawless diamond to be valuable. You know what I mean? So many times, we don't want to go through the like with gold. Same thing with gold. Gold has to go through the fire. A lot of us, we don't want to go through the fire. We don't want to deal with the pain, or we, like you say, we let it hinder us when that's a part of the process. The only way that you get to the finish line, the only way that you get to a finished work is if you go through the process. And I think that that's very important that you, like you said, because forgiving, that's a big part of it. You know what I mean? Forgiving yourself. You know what I mean? I think that's a very, very significant part of it, and especially when we're able to be vulnerable enough. First, that starts with it one, and I'm big on both of those: vulnerability and accountability. And when you incorporate those two things in your life, guess what? You're gonna shed some tears, man or female. You know what I mean? because then, like you said, we learn some things about ourselves. Like, you know what, I could have done some things different here, or I could have moved left when I should have went right, or vice versa. So now with that knowledge and now with the experience, I know how to do better going forward. You know what I mean? But it's a learning process.
Definitely a learning process, and the process, it takes some time. It takes a mindset of wanting to change, of not staying as the victim.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Moving forward, we can't keep operating in a victim mentality. What do you mean by that? I'm not what has happened to me. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you make that declaration and you make that decision, you're taking your power back. So the reason to forgive is to house and bring and take that power away from that person in the situation. As long as that person in that situation plays and replays over and over and over and over again in your mental and your psyche, you will never ever be able to escape and live in the right now.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that some people have went through traumatic situations that are worse than others, right? But there isn't a scale of saying what is worse and what is good and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
The reasons why you went through those situations was to help somebody else.
Absolutely.
And when you take that out of it and you realize that we are overcomers by our testimonies,
Mm-hmm.
and not unfortunately, but fortunately, those of us that are chosen and those of us that have been proven it, you gotta go through the fire. But you're going through the fire in order to bring somebody else out of it,
Mm-hmm.
in order to be a living witness to someone else to say, hey, if God brought me through it, he can bring you through it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
no different from you. And these are some things that I did to get myself through that situation. If you haven't ever been through what I've been through, I'm not going to be too quick to want to listen to your words
Mm-hmm.
of wisdom or encouragement because
Yeah.
you've never been through what I'm going through. So how can you relate to that? So I think that by being vulnerable, by expressing and telling your testimony and letting people know and letting people in of what you've been through is a way to edify and build up the kingdom that you say you are about. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're about the business of Christ, to be Christ like, it is to get witnesses, as it is to showcase what he's done for you, not what you've read, but living. What has he done for you in the present? So let me be a living, walking, breathing example to other people and say, hey, this is where I am, this is where I've been, and this is what I've been through. Thank God we don't look like what we've been through. But now
Absolutely.
we've been through the fire. I can now tell somebody else, hey, this is how I did it. I got scars. You can't even see them. But look
Mm-hmm.
at what I did. Look at, we can talk in the spiritual sense about the war wounds and things that we done to get where we are now. It never ever is going to make sense in the present,
Mm-hmm.
right? When we went through it, no one would think that that would have a beautiful ending. Nobody looks at the ending of that, because it's trauma and it was painful and it hurted. You may have been violated. And I'm not saying that those things that were happened that has happened to us were of good,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to also think that everything that has happened to us has been for the benefit of us in the later.
Mm-hmm.
That that person, those people are waiting to hear your testimony because somebody don't believe that they deserve to keep living, and somebody don't know they can make it through a sickness and a disease.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some divorcee that don't believe in love again, and there's so whatever situation you are in, understand that you're there to be a witness and a testimony to tell somebody else about how he kept you in the darkest times, or when you hit rock bottom, what did you do? And a lot of times it's not in the what was said, but what did you do?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see, how did it happen for you? How did it work out for you? Don't tell me what you said. I want to know what did you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I couldn't have said it better myself, because over the years I have told people so many times that, like you said or said earlier, it's all about mindset first of all. But almost anything that we go through in life, it has nothing at all to do with us. For true believers, people that have a relationship with God, we come to understand that, I hear so many people always say, well, why me? God would never do this to me. First of all, who are you to be minding God's business to say what he would or wouldn't do? You know what I mean? That's first and foremost, right? But what gives you the audacity to take that self-righteousness mindset, so to speak? Because, like you say, anything that you go through, whether it's addiction, whether it's being divorced, whether it's death of a family member, yet God will never bring someone your way that you don't have ministered to or that you can't point into the right direction. To your point, like you said earlier, I always had problems with. I remember growing up in church or being around church. I used to have problem with uh pastors that were on their second or third marriages because it's like, how are you going to tell me how to sustain a marriage and you're on your second or third one? But my mindset on that totally changed once I became divorced because I know that God was still giving me words for people and stuff like that there. So who's to say that he could validate me, but he couldn't validate them? Or fight vice versa. Like, how are you gonna be single telling me and you've never been married? I remember having an argument over with a young lady one time over parenting, if the child needs to be disciplined and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, he just gonna have to wait if the her and the father isn't together and all that kind of stuff there. And I'm like, we kept going back and forth about 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm like, I had to check myself. Like, first of all, why are you arguing about this matter with someone that's never been married and don't have any children?
Yeah.
like, dude, you wasting your energy because you don't know what you would do in that situation because you're not speaking from experience. Not to say that you always have to have experience, but you're coming from a very fairy tale place of what's reality because that's not your reality. So you can't relate to what it's like to actually be struggling with your son as a mother. You know what I mean? And need the father that you done tried to discipline him, you done tried to talk to him, he not hearing you. Hey, would you please come talk to your son? You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's a different type of thing. Fathers the same way with girls. You know what I mean? We certain things we just don't understand. So I think it's important for us to have that kind of connection and that relationship to say, you know what? There are still some things that even though I've been through all this, there are things that I can still learn because it's a never-ending process as far as growth and learning and developing and becoming your true authentic self, so to speak. Hey, what's good, Big
Absolutely.
Five? Yeah, so I wanted to ask you too, because like I said, I want to take off on TikTok to the next level, so I could come up on some of your lives every once in a while. I just started in
Excuse
November,
me.
so that's why I'm only. That's why y'all thought I was being funny when y'all was like, "You want to come on?" I'm like, I don't know how, but obviously, unless you have 1,000 followers, you don't even have access to live. So I've only been on it for maybe 2 or 3 months now, so I got a ways to go, but I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get
You'll
there.
get there.
But when I do get there, being single, right? How do you stay so humble, getting 847 proposals a day? How do you stay humble with that kind of pressure?
Well, you know what, Marvin? I'm gonna say this. My validation came from my father and
Okay,
my grandfather at an early age, and I think we tapped on this once before. So I'm not on social media to gain anything. I don't have a hidden agenda. Even though I'm single, I'm not searching or looking for my person. I'm putting that time and that energy focusing on myself. So as flattering as they are, it will always be quality over quantity, right?
okay,
And so if you're a woman or you're a person and you're not seeking that validation outside of you, then it doesn't have any weight. As a single woman, it doesn't bear any weight. It doesn't hold. There's nothing there. However, I do appreciate the compliments and I appreciate the gestures, but that's just not my aim. That's not the goal. I'm not on TikTok trying to date or looking for you know
yeah,
people to date per se. That's not it. So as it comes, I understand the reasons as to why, but I'm very intentional. And
okay,
in order to get to me, you have to go through the Most High. So there, I mean, you can tell me, and they can get on there and they can give all the compliments in the world, but if you're not connected to the source, then
yeah.
it's just going in one ear and out the other. So I think the humbleness comes with the ability to recognize and understand that my validation is not outside of me.
Got you. I like that. I got to write that down so I can keep that in mind because I don't want. I want to maintain that same humbleness when it's flipped. When all the ladies is, why are you still single and all that kind of stuff. There on the flip side, I don't want to get a big head. You know what I mean? So to speak.
It's quality over quantity. It's plenty of low hanging fruit on the ground. But
True
if you
indeed.
want quality, you're going to have to step up and get on the ladder and pick from the fruit from the top. And
Mhm.
that's going to require effort, and it's going to require time, and it's going to require you to do something different because the fruit that's reachable, that's you're able to reach that. But if you want something great and you want something greater and better, then you might have to reach higher on top of the tree where you can get the ripest fruit.
Okay. What's good, Toshiba? We got a question for you, Miss Cookies. She said, "How do you suggest someone make the shift from external to internal validation?"
um for me, Toshiba, it was on my journey of well, the validation came as a little girl. Once I say again, so I was told I was beautiful and heard that before I can speak, right? So my dad and my grandfather installed that in me before I can even talk. Um, I think that's where it starts. So for people that may have never had that, you have to understand that there's nothing outside of you that can replenish the emptiness, the holes, the empty spaces within your heart. That's an inside job. It's not an outside job. So everything that you're searching for, that you're looking for in other people, is the one thing or the things that you need to fulfill within yourself, and that's between you and your God. You know, going to therapy, dealing with childhood trauma, if there was any, assessing yourself, being accountable for the poor decisions that we've made in our lives. And I think it comes with that accountability, understanding that I'm responsible for me now, right? And I have the ability to choose partners based on my self-worth. And if you come on TikTok and we've been on our self-worth journey, then I will go daily. We talk about the importance of self-worth and how that validation comes from if you are really feeling or you believe that you're worthy of it. If you're only going to receive what you feel like you're worthy of getting. And so to go from external to internal, the validation started as a child. And then as an adult, I wasn't, as a woman, as an adult, I wasn't out here seeking validation outside of myself because I got it for free. I didn't have to perform. I didn't have to do anything to get the hey beautifuls. And I didn't have to do anything because my father installed that in me as a little girl. So that's how important that validation is. Coming up, growing up, that only fathers or the men and the important men that are in your life, they have to install that in you as a child, as a kid, and so that you can internalize that as an adult, right? Because as a kid, you didn't know that being called beautiful. We don't realize the impact that has as you become an adult as a woman. For that young man to be validated that he is strong and then he is healthy and he is smart, that started then. So even if he's facing situations that may challenge him, he'll go back to saying, but I am smart though. My mama told me I am strong though. I can do this because I was able to do, and I believe that coming up as a kid. So for me, it was already installed into me, Toshiba. But then as I became an adult and a woman, and on my journey, it just increased that validation. Just it's shooting through the roof because my glow up and my beauty is far from within me, and I'm not seeking outside validation. I'm not waiting for someone to tell me who I am. I know who I am already. Only thing they can do is validate what I already know, and that's not being driven by ego or pride. That's been driven by a knowing. I know who I am, and it's because that I know who I am, I walk in confidence, and that confidence is what attract people, not realizing that it's the God in me that they see. It's the God in me that they recognize, and they want a part of that. They want the idea of what it represents.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I have nothing to add to that. Thanks for the question to Sheba as well, which kind of make me want to go to the next question I have for you. About one of your posts. I think it was what was the last Wednesday or Thursday when you talked about within yourself again. you realize that just because you was a good person doesn't
Mhm.
mean that you are a good partner. Talk to the viewers a little bit about that, and a little bit more in depth, because I think that there's levels to that so many times, and when you even break it down a step further before you answer that, it's like for you to realize that you're a good person but not a good partner. First, so many people don't even think that they're a good person. So you see what I'm saying? There's layers to that, because if you're not a good person, how can you be a good partner for someone else? When if you are a good person, it still doesn't qualify you as being a good partner.
Well, Marvin, because we believe whatever we tell ourselves, right?
Exactly.
There are rich people that believe that if they do good deeds, then that justify the evilness that they may
Mm-hmm.
do on the side. So for me, I just assumed, and by this is by having accountability and looking over a divorce and past relationships that didn't work out. I assume because I was a good person, that means that there's a denominator that if you put people together, even when you break up, they always say, you was a good person, you was a good woman. I messed up. So if that was a constant variable and
Mm-hmm.
not you just thinking you a good person, you automatically assume that good people, good things are supposed to happen to them at all times. And I'm going to attract a good partner. And the difference would be applying for a job, right? And this particular job that I'm applying for have particular skills that I may not possess. And just because I am applying for the job and I show up for the interview and I look the part, right? Just because I may have not told the truth on my resume
Mm-hmm.
does not mean that I'm a good fit for that job, right? There may be some skills, even though we have on the job training, there may be some skills that I need to acquire in order to do my job successfully. So I think a lot of people believe that they're a good person, period.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you mean a good person? I mean that the center core of who you are is good, that you're not your goodness or how you treat people is not based on a situation or circumstance. Because so many times we we represent what good is based on the situation. But are you still a good person when somebody has disrespected you? Are you still a good person when someone has taken from you? Are you still a good person when someone has caused you harm? So the good person is one that don't seek revenge. I don't have to seek revenge for it because this is my core. I'm just a good person. I know that I don't have to. That's just not who I am. And I think I thought for so long that I deserved or I was attracting good people because I was a good person. And I thought that because I was a good person automatically qualified me again being a good partner. Now here's the thing. Well, what do you mean being a good partner? Well, if you are wanting or you have a partner that is a great communicator, they communicate effectively. That means that what they're asking of you is receiving and it's being input. It's a back and forth, right? They're able to communicate their needs or their wants in a way that you can receive it. If I don't have skills in communicating effectively, guess what? That's a skill that we're going to always we're going to always be bumping heads at. Why? Because I'm not a great receiver. What if I only can listen to reply instead of listen to understand?
Mm-hmm.
So that means that's a skill that that person needs in order to have a successful relationship. You don't have that skill. So you thinking that because you're a good person and you don't do this, you don't cuss and you don't drink and you don't party and you don't da 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 da, you thinking that that qualifies you as being a good partner. And a good partner also says that there's some things about you that you can work on. And if you can only listen to, you only listening to respond, but you're not listening to understand, you're not a good partner because that's important. You get what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
important. There are certain skills that's important to have an effective and a healthy relationship. And I had to dissect that and I had to eat it. And I had to realize I don't care how good of a person that I thought I was, there's some skills that I'm lacking. And in my singleness, because I have self-awareness now, I'm doing the work. I'm buying the books, I'm buying the books. I'm reaching out. I'm going and getting, this therapy, a coach, whatever that you need in order to acquire certain skills so that you have more of successful rate in order to be a good partner.
Mhm. Okay.
Did that
Now,
make sense?
yeah, that makes perfect sense because to take it a step further, like you said though, just because you don't have the skill set for that particular job doesn't mean that you're not a good employee
Mm-hmm.
at a different position or different.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So, like you said, it's different levels to it, but I think one of the things that's important for us to be realistic. We didn't get a chance to talk about it that first time, and it's old news now. But with the whole Joe Smith situation with the wife and all that kind of stuff there, and she put him on live with the and well, I had to do it. I got to hold it down. You ain't making enough money this here and that there, yada yada yada. But she put him on blast, and one of the things that he had said in the video was, "I can never be the man that you wanted me to be." And I remember asking you like, and we still got to do a show, and I definitely want to have you on that when we do it. But I want to do a show on why do we choose to ignore red flags, because I think that that's a big thing, and I think so many of us do that. Or you see the different girlfriends, girl, I would never put up with this with my man cheating on me. Yeah, but you wouldn't put on with him cheating on you, but you allow him to put his hands on you or disrespect you or talk to you reckless. You know what I mean? Whereas she won't let him talk. So it's like you see these different traits, but you know what? We choose to kind of push them to the side or whatever. But I'm a firm believer in thanks be to God that it took me a while to get there, but I've come to the place of realization, understanding to say, look, when people tell you who they are, please believe them. You know what I mean? Like when like in the Bible, it talks about the man that had the scales over his eyes and how vision for somebody that never seen it was kind of painful because you're not used to using those eyes. And it's like, okay, I thought this was gonna look like this, and I thought this was like when people show you who they are, as painful as it may be sometimes, please believe that that's what you see. That is who they are when they show you. For you to choose to still see them for what you want them to be or possibly could be, I don't think that that's very smart. Me personally, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, but I think we have to take in consideration, Marvin, that people are so broken.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have broken people making connections and being in relationships, and nobody wants to be by themselves. Nobody wants to sit by themselves and be accountable and
Mm-hmm.
look in the mirror and deal with their own demons and they're all the things that make them who they are. And the I think it's the fear of being by yourself, and to look at your own demons and say that it's not a scary person, but it's you. It's the you versus you.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me to look at myself in the mirror, the ugly parts, to recognize that, what, I was a villain in somebody else's story. So if we don't have accountability, we don't recognize that, we cannot expect people to give us something that we ourselves don't have. It's just impossible. So we have all these lists and we have all these expectations that we are demanding from other people, right? And we expecting you to do this and become that and do this and do that, but nobody wants to do that for themselves. Nobody wants to put themselves in their own hot seat. Nobody wants to look at themselves in the mirror and be accountable and break yourself down, and let's deal with your stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because it don't smell good. It don't smell like roses. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I can be distracted, as long as I can stay distracted with work, with all the temporary pleasures, then that means that there's not a lot of energy and time I can spend on myself. I don't. That's an excuse for me not having to deal with my own issues. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm so focused on what you're not doing, and I'm so
Mm-hmm.
focused on what you should be doing. And I can analyze and evaluate everybody else around me, but I refuse to do it for myself. I refuse to take accountability for myself. I refuse to accept my faults. I refuse to believe that I somehow was a villain in somebody else's story. Nobody wants to look at themselves as the boogeyman. Nobody wants to see themselves as the one that was at fault as well. There's no accountability. And so when you don't have that, you walk in here and you're connecting with people, and that's that trauma bonding. You're not based off spiritual or mental emotions, you're based off the past hurt, past traumas. And that will make you believe that you and this person are bonding or in a great relationship, but it's in dysfunction.
Mhm.
A lot of people are just comfortable with being dysfunctional because it doesn't require you to do anything other than what you've been doing. We hear that all the time. Well, this is just who I am. No, no,
I don't
no.
have to
That's
be that
that's
way.
not true. This is
Yeah.
who you choose to be, to
Mhm.
stay. You choosing to stay that way because you're not willing to do the work in order to become the best version of yourself. And it's not for anyone other than yourself. So this journey that you and I are on, it's because we had a desire from within to become better and to become greater. And with that declaration out of your mouth, it's going to require you to stop doing some things, to start doing some things,
Mhm.
to admit to some things, and to change some things. And if you're not willing to go through that process, then you will continue to remain the same on the other side, steady complaining, asking for things that you are not deserving of, and
Mhm.
you stay stuck.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Because I'm a believer in that as well. So many times, and I think, and then now that you said, especially the way you worded it, I consider that's gonna be a part of my prayers tonight when I go to bed. God, I thank you for now that the way you worded it. I look at that as a gift. Um, you know what I mean? Because like you said, so many people don't want to be alone. So many people want a relationship just for the sake of having a relationship, and that's really not my testimony. I'm good with being alone. Just because I'm alone doesn't mean that I'm lonely, or you know what I
That
mean.
part.
Now, there are times where I miss compassion. There are times I miss going to the movies and holding hands and going for a walk in the park or a picnic and stuff like that. There, but it doesn't. Even if I had a relationship, whether I have a relationship or don't have a relationship, that doesn't define who I am. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times, I hear people. I remember somebody, a friend was asking me, "You don't want somebody to go to the doctor with you and all that?" There, I'm like, if that's the only reason that you want to have a relationship, that so that you don't die alone, what does that say about how you feel about yourself? Because I have a good time with myself, and it wasn't
That
always
part.
that way. Yeah, right. I miss holding hands. I'm a sucker for romance. That's my best friend from high school. So I already know I'm gonna here get a phone call after the show is over. We like Cam and Mace. We can mess with each other like that. But I think, like I said, I've learned to, over the last several years, I've learned to know myself, learn myself, and be happy with myself. You know what I mean? Because I can honestly say at 48 years old, you hear people always talk about you got to love yourself. And until the time I was literally about 45, 44, 45 years old, I had no idea, being honest, I had no idea what that meant. I knew how to love everybody else. I didn't know what it meant to love myself, though, because I felt like it was vain. I felt like it was selfish, right? But again, like you say, how can I give you certain things if I don't have it within me first? So I wanted everybody to accept me for my brutal honesty, but then when I get it back, now I got an issue with it. So, and matter of fact, the dude that just made the funny comment, right? He helped me realize this. I remember we was on the phone one day and he was like, "Yo, man, you the most stubborn person I know." And I'm sitting here listening, like, what you mean I'm stubborn? Like, I like to think that I'm open minded. He's like, listen, bro, I don't know you for 30 years, yo. Once your mind is made up, it's made up. Like,
Right.
I had to think about it. It's like, you know what? I am kind of stubborn. Thanks for pointing that out to me, Rod. But it showed me, you know what? Okay, now that I thought I was a certain way, like you said that in internal, I thought I was open minded. Now, okay, how do I become unstubborn? How do I be less stubborn and more open minded and more willing to change, or more understanding, listening more? Like, what are some of the things that I think that it takes to be unstubborn? And it helped me work on myself. And then it's like, you know what? Finally got to a place. It's like, you know what? I kind of like this dude. Like if I wasn't me and I met me, like yo, this dude is all right. This dude, this dude is kind of cool right here. So I was like, you know what? Once I finally got to that place, it was like a beautiful thing, and life just changed for me. My outlook changed for me because I was once again, I wasn't looking like you say. I think that's so very key when we don't look for validation from outside. When we get all the validation that we need. Now, there's nothing wrong with, I'm a bowler, right? And people think that's when you know bowling, people think that strikes is it. But anybody that bowls or bowling coaches would always tell you that strikes are bonuses, spares win the game.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, once you embrace that, there, steady the pace and work on myself. So I said all that to say, relationships, all that kind of stuff, their validation, outside validation, those are just bonuses. The real win is when you get self-validation, when it comes from within you. You know what I mean? And once you get to look in that mirror and be happy with the person that you are, whether you're alone, whether you're with someone or not, then you win.
Yeah, Marvin, you can think about how many times have we been in a relationship and felt alone. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's far worse
Yeah.
than not having someone in the bed next to you, not having someone walking in the park with, versus having that body there with you and you guys are miles and miles apart. You feel alone with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced that and I don't want to ever experience that again because
Absolutely.
that's far worse than me having a moment of loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
It's an emotion. They come and they go,
Absolutely.
so that's not the end all is all, but having a person be a part of your life and you guys are worlds apart and you land in the bed next to someone and you don't feel it's empty. It's as if you are laying in the bed by yourself or you're walking in the park by yourself. What's the payoff?
Yeah.
I'd rather be alone,
Mm-hmm.
right, with myself. I'd rather not have anyone versus being with someone and still um, feeling alone.
Yeah. I'm quite sure Sears has a good deal on pillows. Get you a few
Hey,
more pillows, hold them, cry to them, whatever the case may be. But like you said, that's one of the worst feelings ever. Like when you're in a relationship with someone, but she's on that couch, you're on this couch, and you know what I mean. It's like that's a version of hell to me in itself. So, like you said, I'm with you there wholeheartedly. Those are the type of experience I thank God that I've had them because now that I've had them, I know I never want to have them again.
that part,
Going
that
forward, like
part.
I don't like I said, I'd rather be alone. I'd rather be alone and have peace.
Yes,
Peace is important to me. The older that we get, peace is important because we don't always have peace. A lot of times we settle just for the norm. And
yeah,
because we look a certain way, we look like great couples, we look like we're successful, we look like that there, but you still don't have any peace on the inside. That's why you're going to the club all the time. That's why you're drinking all the time. That's why you're smoking all the time. All these different things because you don't have that inner peace. Once you get to find that inner peace, though, you see the world through a whole different scope.
yeah,
I ain't gonna keep because I don't want you to miss your quality time. But I did want to get you. I wanted to hit on right before we wrap up what you were talking about on the live right before we did this one. You were talking about intimacy.
yes.
Um, what is Cookie's definition of intimacy?
Like I said earlier, intimacy for me is feeling safe in someone's energy.
Mhm.
It's that they have their energy is so inviting. It's warm. It's intentional, but yet free. It's comforting, and you feel like they feel like home, and that is a place of rest, and that is a place where you feel safe enough to unload, and it's a space of their energy that it makes it effortlessly. Like their energy is so effortless that you don't have to do anything, but it just is. And you don't have to fight for it. It's given freely. Um, and so that type of intimacy where their energy, comforts you and wraps you up, It breaks down all walls and all barriers. You're your most vulnerable self. It's almost like having a childlike experience,
Hmm.
like you're in the bosom of God, if you want to say. You in the arms of your parents, that grandmother that used to hug and love on you that only she could give.
Hmm.
So it's that favorite comfortable sweater. It's their favorite blanket that you wrap yourself into. It's their favorite cologne, their favorite perfume that reminds you of their energy. Is just there, and it just is. And you can be doing absolutely nothing, but as long as you're in their presence, and I have yet to experience this, but I experienced this. What I'm telling the people, I experienced this is between me and God, and so the intimacy that I'm having is between me and God and myself, which is me. So I have this sense of warm, and this sense of comfort, and this sense of intentional but yet freeing energy around me that protects me, loves me, um, but it also gives me that space and that room to just be myself. And I think that type of intimacy, to have that manifest in another person, I think that for me, that is the goal.
I like that. Yeah, because and for me, it was sort of the same way, just worded a little differently. Because even when you asked it, I don't know if you've seen it, but to me, I've this is something I've learned over the years too. Intimacy for me means exactly what it sounds like. Into me, see. And what I mean by that is the first words that come to my mind is vulnerability.
Hmm.
Feeling comfortable enough to allow myself to air out all my flaws from you. You're not going to hold them against me. You're not going to judge me for them. But I could actually give my innermost feelings and thoughts with you. Not for you to help me, not for you to give me an answer, not for you to give me a solution, but just a safe place to where I can freely speak my mind. And it could be my authentic self.
Yeah.
You know, and I think so many times we build these walls. You know what I mean? Well, I'm gonna show them this here, but this part of the house is gonna stay closed off. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And we do that within ourselves so many times. Well, I can let them know about this part of me, but no, we're not gonna open up that door. But to your point, when you have real intimacy, I think that transcends um, being comfortable enough to be vulnerable, to really expose yourself to the highest level. And when you do that, it could be a beautiful thing because, like you said, for me personally, I don't know that I've ever because intimacy has nothing to do with sex like people think it is or romantically. It has nothing to do with the true word of intimacy. Um, so when you break it down, for me, again, I can't say that I never have, but I can't if I did, I don't remember
Hmm.
experiencing that there. But I have experienced true intimacy with God Almighty, with my Creator. You know what I mean? And it's like you said, there's a peace that comes without understanding it. Whether it is, it sometimes it could just be the way the wind blows, and you just feel in your spirit, God, that's you. You know what I mean? Or you can hear a sound. Okay, God, that's you. You know, different things of that nature there. So I totally get what you say, and it is most beautiful sometimes because it's unexplainable.
Yeah.
You can't explain it. You have to experience it for yourself because that's the only way that you can relate to it. Because what intimacy is and what it feels like for you will be totally different for me.
Hmm.
Again, so that's what another reason why it has to come from within. And you have to experience it for yourself because no two experiences are the same.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, before you got it, Steve said, "What does it mean to love yourself? How does that look in practice?"
Great question, Toshiba. For me, loving myself is my authentic version, loving your authentic version of who you are, knowing who you are. What are your principles, your morals, your beliefs, your standards? What does that look like? And to love me means to love all the parts about me that's not so lovable, right? That means to love the flaws as well. That's a part of loving you. And it looks like practicing that with daily affirmations, positive self talks. It comes in a form of reading books, getting the information, being accountable, finding out what are the things that you need to improve on as an individual. It comes in the form of always having the ability to be your most authentic self. It comes with having a community of people that have similar ideas, the people that can encourage your walk of you being your authentic self. It comes in the form of journaling, to love yourself. It comes in the form of having boundaries. It comes in the form of saying no. It comes in the form of making sure that you yourself are your most authentic self in any environment, in any circumstances around anybody. And I self-worth, your decisions that we make. When I see someone and they say, "Hey, I have self-worth and self-love and all these things," I typically look at their decisions that they're making. And one way that you know that and you can identify that, Deshiva, is if I ask you who you are. If you ask me, if Marvin said, "Well, Miss Cookie, well, who are you?" And if I give you, if I tell you, when I tell you who I am, it has nothing to do with what I have, and it has nothing to do with what I do. So walking and having self-love is loving me for who I am. So when you know who you are, and as you start unraveling and lifting up the veils and understanding who you are from the inside out, that self-love, having the love, having that space of forgiveness for yourself, making sure that you allow yourself space and time and forgiveness, that looks like love. And like I said, and not only that, but to allowing people to be who they are, right? And you respect them for who they are, and you move in the light of who you are. So in other words, that says that I don't have to dim my light because you're uncomfortable with who you are. I can, if my personality, if my light shines bright and it lights up the whole room, I don't have to dim my light to make sure to make sure you're comfortable.
Mhm.
I'm never going to do that because I'm so secure. I'm so comfortable with who I am. And it's not based on what society has said or deemed me value for who I should be. So it looks something like this. Marvin asked me who I am because I want to do this so people can really understand the work that it takes and the work that this is how you should be able to answer this question in some shape or form. So you go in and ask me, who are you?
Miss Cookies, who are you?
Okay. I'm glad you asked, Marin. I'm a woman of integrity. I'm a woman of understanding. I'm a woman of purpose. I'm a woman that understands who she is and who has God has said she is called to be. I am a woman of principles, values, and morals. I am a woman that has the ability to speak life into any situation that has maybe been dead. I am a woman that causes nothing but greatness to be stirred up, not only in between me, but even if you have an experience with me, you cannot but not have an experience with me and not become out as great. I'm a woman that has value. I'm a woman of self-worth. I'm a woman of discipline. I'm a woman of respect. I'm a woman that leads and has integrity. I'm a woman of patience. I'm a woman of understanding. I know who I am because God has called me to be who I am, and I can speak that even if she has yet to show up. I am her. Well, who are you? A woman of substance. I'm a woman of belief, discipline, integrity. I am all of those things. And so when I come into your space and I come into your life, you have to have an understanding of who you are. It's not based on what you do, and it's not based on what you have. And that's just a little bit because I really have really become it. Like I really, really believe that. And you have to know that. You have to know that. You have to know that and believe that and walk in that in every outlet in every aspect of your life. Know who you are, but more importantly, know who God said that you are, because that that oversees anybody else's definition and it's society's definition of who they say you should be.
All right. There you go, Chief. There's your answer. Rodney said, damn, guys, you might not be ready for Miss Cookies.
Get ready, get ready, get ready. You definitely got to get ready so you don't have to,
That's it.
the go. You
Get
know
your
the
game
saying.
up.
Stay
Make
ready
sure.
so you ain't got to get ready. Definitely, I'm one of one. So hopefully that this was a short intimate version of me and what I do on my show, on my podcast. Marvin, once again, thanks for always having me. Every time you ask, I'm pretty much cool, open to do that. I hope there's something that I said manifested and plays some type of a imprint on your mindset or on your spirit. So once again,
Absolutely.
thanks for always having me.
Always, always. I ain't going nowhere. Hopefully, you not either. Um, now I put the information in the comments, guys. So that's Miss Cookies. That's the spelling right there in the link. Please go follow her on TikTok as well as that's the same name on IG. Please go support her. Miss Cookies, thanks for taking out this time away from your family for a short break. I'm gonna let you get back to them now. But in case I don't see you physically, I'm just on the lives between now and the new year. I hope that you and the family have a beautiful and wonderful holiday. And you already know I've told you before. I'm not gassing you up, but you are a part of my prayer life now, and I pray nothing but success, continued growth, and that God will really show you to a whole nother level what He has in store for you coming in 2024, and much success to you in all that you do. As soon as I get to that 1,000 followers, I'm gonna be on there.
Yep, you come on our side. You come on my platform. We can do this.
All right. Again, man, I appreciate you, and you enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right. Thank you guys for having me.
All right.
Happy holidays, everyone. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. There you go, guys. That's the beautiful Miss Cookies on TikTok and IG. Please follow her. I left it in the comments for you all. Again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Get ready to go get me something to eat. And she had to spend some time with her family that's in town. So again, sincere thank yous to everyone that's been rocking out with me for this last 3.5 years. We're not going nowhere. We about to get even better and better as I learn more tricks of the trade and how to grow this thing. And as long as you guys are rocking with me and here every single week, we're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna keep doing it. Again, I don't take you all for lightly. I don't take you all for granted. But I thank each and every one of you, all the former guests, all the viewers, as well as the comments and all that kind of stuff there. Thanks to Sheba. Thanks, Rod. Thanks, Wayne. Thanks, Shakira. Everybody that's been in the comments, not just tonight, Beverly Tucker, Rochelle Ducker, everybody, all you guys over the course of this look the time that I've been doing this. I don't want to get emotional, but I really appreciate you all, man. And thanks for having confidence enough in me and rocking out with me and encouraging me to do this here. With that being said, man, again, I'm gonna see you all. We're gonna do a special. Let me know what you got going on noon Saturday ride. Big Five, you still out there? I already talked to you. I confirm throughout the between now and Friday. But we're gonna do a sports show on Saturday. Make some bold selections, talk about the NBA, different things that's going on. We're gonna do a sports show on this Saturday at noon. Then we're gonna have the final show of the year on Tuesday night, 8 o'clock regularly. I'm gonna just share a few things, and you guys gonna have any. If you guys got any questions or different things that you guys want to do as far as that, just let me know. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm really, really looking forward to just a glimpse of what God has shown me. I'm really looking forward to 2024 and all that He's not going to do just in my life, but in you guys' life as well. So I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. Make sure we all be on the same page, and if nothing else, I'll leave you with this. No matter what your relationship is with God right now, um, challenge yourself to even grow it even more in 2024, because I promise you that things will not only get better, you'll have a better vision for yourself. You'll have better understanding. And again, like I shared last week, I believe so far there's a little tidbit that I could give you. 2024 will be a year of restoration, a year of recovery for many people, and that's just the beginning. But tune in Saturday for all the sports fans as we have some conversations around sports and current affairs on Saturday at noon. And then we'll see you each other on Tuesday evening for the last show of 2023, y'all. Everybody have a blessed and Merry Christmas. Enjoy the time with the family. Happy holidays to everyone. And I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday night. As usual, in signing off, DeAndre and Lysha, know that Daddy loves you intentionally. but I also love you unconditionally. Peace.